So why don't you tell people a little bit about where vanadium sits in the market, what its uses and its applications, first of all?
Yeah, it's been a very volatile commodity. And when you look at its price profile, it's quite interesting to see. It can put some people off, but we think that in any commodity, your number one goal should be looking for that project or that production base that is cheap, low cost. If you're the lowest cost producer, you won't have much to worry about the volatility in the price.
You've got some margin there, and I know you're one of the lowest quartile producers of vanadium, but even so, in terms of predictability and being able to plan ahead, must be difficult.
Again, I mean, it depends, right, how you structure your business. So, for example, if you structure your business with a lot of debt, which is predicated on vanadium coming in at a certain price, then you get a problem, right, if vanadium price doesn't realize there. But I think if you have a low cost producer and you've got a good capital structure, you should be okay, right? And we all want a stable vanadium price. Make no mistake about it. But we think the first thing is make sure you're a low cost producer. And for us, it's one of our key pillars in the projects that we get involved in. Overall, though, we think that as a commodity, the vanadium market's outlook is actually very good.
Well, this has come on to your reflux battery component, I'm guessing, but
even before that.
Even before that, okay.
Even before that.
So just quickly describe vanadium uses today, and then get on to what they could be.
So about 90% of the world's vanadium today is used in steel making. Right, you add 0.2% of vanadium to stainless steel, you double its strength, right? And so it's used in construction steel. Whenever you're building infrastructure, you need tensile strength in steel
and the rebar.
So in rebar, so that's been the traditional kind of space for vanadium applications. And I should add that even if that was all that there was to vanadium consumption, that's been the bedrock for a century plus, and we think will continue to be, given its unique place in that space. In countries like China, where you got regulations that are being put in place to regulate, the types of rebar that is produced, so China is moving away from low quality grade 2 rebar towards grade 3, grade 4 rebars.
And that, I mean, China resetting the quality of the rebar did have an impact on the vanadium price.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And therefore knock-on effect with you guys, I guess. I mean, so was that a big impact on you?
It has an impact on vanadium. I think the new standard in China, it's estimated that if and when fully implemented, just to meet that standard, it should raise the demand for vanadium in China domestically by as much as 30%. Now, given that China accounts for about 50% of global vanadium consumption, talking about a 15% uplift in the demand. That impact hasn't really come through yet, because we believe that the enforcement of that standard hasn't been strong yet. But we believe that the government will start to implement the inspections, and that in the second half of this year we'll see the enforcement of that standard increase, and therefore that demand upside will start to come through from there on. And that's, of course, just one part of that demand story. There is the redox flow batteries you talked about earlier on. And timing couldn't be better in terms of what's going on in the world around our energy, electricity generation, the push for cleaner energy, etc. So the use of vanadium in energy storage, we think, is going to substantially increase the demand profile of vanadium through these batteries called vanadium redox flow batteries.
So let's come on to that in a minute, because technically I want to understand that a bit, but I want to stay with you. What you've been doing since how long have you been with the company now?
I founded the company together with partners.
Okay.
So which stretches back to 2008. We listed in 2012 on AIM, but we started essentially Bushveld Minerals as a early stage exploration projects which we were developing from as early as 2000.
Fantastic. So if you take, you've gone from junior explorer into production, and if you're number one in the world at anything, it suggests you're quite good. So, you know, you've obviously done quite well in terms of establishing yourself. So tell us about that journey.
It's been an interesting journey. I think we started our journey in the junior space at an interesting time, because it was about the time that the global financial crisis was setting in. Yeah. And as you know, when that happened, risk capital becomes scarce because people are less willing to take big risks. And the casualty of that is actually endeavors such as junior mining and exploration. I partnered with 3 individuals in South Africa, 2 twins, identical twins, both professors of geology, Maurice and Richard Fillion, and Anthony Fillion was Richard's son. And essentially we started life with a view that, you know, these 2 gentlemen are doyens of geology in Africa. They know the Bushveld complex inside out. They've advised many people to find new deposits. You know, let's create a business where we leverage that IP and we build projects. And that's how we started life, and we started looking for exploration projects that we can build up. Yeah. And our journey grew from there.
Are you a geologist?
I'm not a geologist. No.
I
studied actuarial science, and I worked in strategy consulting for a little bit.
Fantastic. Okay, so you started then. Obviously, that's all about, you know, equity, raising equity to be able to, you know, do what you needed to do.
Look, when we started, my interest was to do principal investments. I was looking for opportunities in Africa where there is scope for scale growth. And I'll be honest with you, a year before that, I didn't know about anything called junior mining at all. Until I met with the Fillions, and you know, I think, you know, from there on we gelled, and we started finding projects. We started developing the projects, and we're fortunate to get backers who backed us early. Yeah. And you know, one project led to another project, and until we got Bushveld Minerals listed in 2012 on AIM.
It's kind of interesting when we talk to a lot of CEOs. You know, it's not all plain sailing. It's not smooth.
No, it never is.
Smooth line. So what are the important things for you? Given you weren't into junior mining or when you first started, you know, what are the things which stand out for you as moments where there's a significant change in your understanding or indeed the business?
You're always learning as you go, and I think for me a starting point was that when you are working with a technical team in a technical field that is exceptional, that is distinguished, who know what they're talking about, it's a good starting point. You know, they will tell you that everything starts with geology and mining, and I tend to agree with them. And then the second thing is that, you know, your early deals, and there's a general thing, your early deals are always going to be the most expensive, but what's more important is proving yourself and making money for your investors that give you capital to do what you want to do. And, you know, with time, as you develop and as you prove successful, you know, you then can get a bit more leverage in your conversations with investors. So our very first project was an expensive project from a financing point of view, I can tell you now. But it gave us a platform to develop more. And that's how we've developed ourselves, Right. Even after we listed, you know, we faced what every junior company faced. It was hard to raise money. We had projects that we were comfortable with, that they're solid projects. And we had a guiding philosophy which we believed in, which I think has stood us very well. You know, we were fortunate that we had good projects. And from about 2013, you know, after seeing our share price come down, our market come down since listing, we did what I think was pivotal, which is we decided to focus on vanadium as a commodity, and it is really there that I think our inflection point started. We still were small, but we got our scoping study on our flagship project that we had done quickly. We did our pre-feasibility study, and we developed a conviction about this market that we've carried since then, and we believe it's a market that is really for us to participate in.
So, but you've got, how much of the vanadium market? You're world number one, right?
We're the largest in terms of the resource space.
In terms of the resource space?
In terms of the resource space.
In terms of production?
In terms of production, we're not the largest producer now. There is at least two primary producers that produce more than we do. Largo Resources and Glencore's Rovan operation in South Africa. But after the acquisition that we did, that we just announced of Vanchem, between Vanchem and Vametco, from just a potential point of view, we have the capacity to become the largest primary producer, yes.
Right, okay. So what are you supplying in terms of the world production at the
Currently
moment?
just under 3%.
Just under 3%, okay.
Yeah.
And after?
Well, when we've gone through the refurbishment of Vanchem and we got Vametco operating at full capacity, we're targeting just about 10% of the global market.